Hey bookworms, I'm Addison Bray, your junior Miss Missy Cosmos. Today our story is going to be about a very important event in our history. It is going to be about the first moon landing. For those of you that don't know bookworms, I had the honor of going to NASA Space Camp whenever I was a little bit younger, and it is something that I enjoy looking back on today. And it's just so much fun, and I'd love to be able to go to outer space one day. But today's story is going to be about the first moon landing. On July 20th, 1969, two human beings walked on the moon for the very first time. It is an amazing story. The moon is our planet's closest neighbor in space. It is more than 238,000 miles away from Earth. Humans have always gazed up at the moon, and we have all had the same question. What's up there? Flying to the moon seemed impossible until the 1960s. In 1961, President John F. Kennedy made a promise. He said America would land astronauts on the moon and return them safely to Earth by 1970. This trailblazing moon mission would later be given a name, Apollo 11. America's space agency is called NASA, which stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration. I still remember that. NASA would first need a powerful rocket to send the astronauts into space. They built a 363-foot rocket called Saturn V. It was as tall as a 36-story building. Saturn V would carry a second unit, a command module called Columbia. It was shaped like a gumdrop and had a cabin for the astronauts. It would fly high above the moon's surface while the astronauts did their moonwalk. The third spacecraft was a lunar lander named Eagle. It looked like a giant insect. Eagle would drop down from the command module and land two astronauts on the moon. These astronauts were chosen for Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins were experienced test pilots. They had already flown many dangerous missions in some of America's fastest jets. On the morning of July 16, 1969, the countdown began. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smoke and flames burst in the bottom of the rocket. Blast off. Soon Saturn V was high above Earth. Faster and faster it flew, 6,000 miles per hour, then 15,000 miles per hour. The rocket quickly reached a speed of more than 24,000 miles per hour. That's more than 6 miles a second. Once in space, Saturn V separated from the command module. Next, the command module separated from the lunar module. It turned around, then docked to the lunar module to join the hatchets from the command module to the lunar module. Then the command module, Columbia, and the lunar module, Eagle, flew on toward the moon. After 3 days in space, the command module was finally in the right place above the moon. Armstrong and Aldrin got into their spacesuits, then climbed into Eagle. Collins would stay in the command module, flying high above the moon. There's no air on the moon. It can be both freezing cold and really hot. The astronaut spacesuits would give them air to breathe. The suits would also keep them warm if they got too cold, or cool them off if they got too hot. Too much precipitation could fog up their helmets, and the astronauts would have no way to clean them while wearing them. Their helmets also had radio gear for communicating with Collins and the NASA scientists back on Earth. Armstrong and Aldrin gently guided Eagle down to the moon's surface. 6 hours later, Armstrong made history as he climbed down a ladder and stepped onto the powdery surface of the moon. Aldrin followed soon after, becoming the second person to walk on the moon. Armstrong sent this radio message back to Earth. The Eagle has landed. That's one small step for man and one giant leap for mankind. The astronauts filmed the moonwalk. More than 500 million people around the world watched it live on TV, thrilled to witness this amazing event. Armstrong and Aldrin raised an American flag and left a plaque on the moon's surface. The plaque reads, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." The astronauts spent nearly 22 hours on the moon. They took photos and collected 40 pounds of moon rocks. They also left something behind, the first human footprints on the moon. Soon it was time to return to the command module. Aldrin and Armstrong fired up Eagle's engines and blasted off. Hours later, they were back with Collins in the command module. Columbia was heading home. On July 24th, 1969, Columbia splashed down in the Pacific Ocean. The USS Hornet, a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, was there to pick up the astronauts. Thanks to the astronauts' discoveries, scientists learned many things from the Apollo 11 mission. They came to believe that the moon was once part of Earth until it broke off and flew into space long ago. Scientists also found evidence that the moon has moonquakes, just as Earth has earthquakes. The moon landing was a remarkable feat. Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins were America's newest heroes. Parades were held in their honor in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. There would be 5 more NASA missions during which American astronauts would walk on the moon. All of these brave astronauts followed in the footsteps of the amazing Apollo 11 crew. Thank you so much for joining me today, bookworms, and I hope you enjoyed learning about this monumental experience in our American history. Hopefully someday we'll all be able to walk on the moon. Bye, bookworms!